Next, though, we're going to tell you about a week-long journey around Britain by electric car. It started in the far north of Scotland and took a route via London and Cardiff to finish at Land's End in Cornwall. It was a serious test of the charging infrastructure. Are there enough chargers and what do they cost? Can they cope with nearly 50 teams all travelling at the same time and using the same chargers? Our transport correspondent Paul Clifton took part in the rally and he joins us now from the AA headquarters in Basingstoke to tell us more. Paul.
David, I get asked two questions about electric cars pretty much every day. One, do they have enough range? And two, is the charging network yet good enough? Well, to answer those questions, I took this car on a week-long Great British Electric Vehicle Rally with my daughter Frankie as co-driver.
Cheers, Paul.
So we're off, nearly 1,500 miles to go over 5 days. We're using all the usual eco-driving tricks. So accelerating very gently, braking hardly at all, the air conditioning is off, the windows are closed. But it all went badly wrong.
1 hour in and we've already hit some trouble. We were driving along and we just went off the curb of the road ever so slightly and we've had a blowout.
Many hours later, we're now being picked up by a breakdown truck. BMW said a new tyre would take 3 days. But we found one in Inverness. So 8 hours later, we were back on the road. Day 2 started by copying that shot of James Bond in Skyfall. Well, why not? Then it was down past Glasgow to Manchester. We're part of Team National Grid.
OK, so National Grid doesn't buy electricity, doesn't sell electricity, doesn't make electricity. We're just the conduit from where it's made to where it's consumed. And on the journey we're on, people are going to use a lot more electricity when we decarbonise transport. So National Grid is just making sure that we're preparing for the future that we're moving into.
Day 3 brought a series of challenges for cars and drivers at Rockingham near Corby. This was about showcasing the performance of electric cars. Next to Essex, one of Britain's newest and largest car charging hubs.
I think it's the future of fuel stations. They're all going to become like this, full of charging bays.
Let's turn it up.
And it has an unusual trick.
So I've just arrived at the GridServe electric forecourt and I came upstairs and saw these bikes and I thought, wow, in just 20 minutes I could put 15 watt hours back into my electric car. And I thought, I'm not doing anything else, so why not?
Now, the bit we had both been dreading. I really hate driving in central London. Why does anyone drive here when public transport is so good? Briefly, back in home territory at Reading Services before we head on towards Bristol. Then it's on into Wales.
We're going across the Cardiff Barrage right now, which is not usually open to vehicles.
For the vans, a real challenge lies ahead. There are few fast chargers through Devon and Cornwall. We make a final charge near Exeter.
Well, here we are, 5 days and nearly 1,500 miles later, we've finally made it to Land's End.
For everyone, this is an achievement. Just a couple of years ago, sending 45 battery cars and vans together would not have been possible.
We've chosen deliberately a challenging route and everybody has made it.
I think the last few days have been about really putting the infrastructure through its paces, but how different things are for vans versus cars. And I think we need to take these lessons forward back into our own jobs and improve the infrastructure that we've already got.
But what I do realise is as we scale new cars going electric, we'll have to do more, we'll have to get more and faster chargers, so there's work to be done.
Maybe 5 years from now, this won't be a challenge at all. For now, away from cities and motorways, the charging infrastructure isn't keeping up. with the public's desire to go electric.
Well, one of the other teams taking part here was the AA. You've seen their yellow car, driven by President Edmund King. In some places there were enough chargers, but not many.
Well, I think that's right, but the good news is if you live in the south, you still can go to Scotland or the Lake District for your holiday, but the number of chargers varied, and particularly around the weekend on the motorway service areas, there just weren't enough chargers. We had to go and look elsewhere.
I was struck by the enormous variation in prices that we had to pay for electricity. 20 pence a unit in some places, 68 pence at the most expensive. So a much wider range than you get for petrol or diesel.
Yeah, this is a bit of a concern. Obviously, we know that you'll pay a bit more for the rapid chargers compared to the slower chargers, but even within rapid chargers, there was a lot of variety. So we need a bit more transparency. We need to make it easier to get a receipt to see how much you're actually paying.
And we were all using a variety of charge cards and apps on our phones, all branded. Surely this is only going to work when it's as easy as buying petrol or a coffee with your bank card or your phone.
Well, the government's helped in one area, because for all the new rapid chargers on the motorway networks and other places, you will be able to use a credit card. They'll be cashless, so that will be fine. I think it's more the middle layer of chargers. We need to get that sorted out. We need to make it easier. We need to make it consumer friendly, and then it will work for everyone.
Very briefly, are we just at the beginning of the curve?
I think we are, but people are getting more excited. On the rally, we had lots of people asking us about the cars. How good are they? How good's the range? So I think we are getting there. It's just there's a bit of a shortage of the cars at the moment.
OK, Edmund, thank you very much indeed. It was quite an event. We all enjoyed it. But you'd expect me to say this. I had by far the best co-driver.
Absolutely, Paul. And we all enjoyed your James Bond pose up there in Scotland too. Thanks very much indeed.